Great to have you with us. We now bring in Shaun O'Hara on our video call center from his home in Franklin Lakes, New Jersey. Shaun, 150 years ago to the day, November 6, 1869, the first college football game ever played between Rutgers and Princeton. You have the Rutgers hat on as a part of the celebration. You were always also at Giant Stadium on Monday night as this huge anniversary was celebrated as well.
Yeah, it was a pretty special night. Obviously to be there representing a former New York Giant as well as a former Scarlet Knight. You can see there next to me is Keith Elias. He was representing the Princeton Tigers. He's also a former New York Giant, so it was a pretty cool evening, pretty special event to be able to be a part of that. Troy Vincent had some footballs, one celebrating 100 years of the NFL, and then the other one celebrating 150 years of college football. As a lot of people know, Rutgers is the birthplace of college football. It's something I didn't know when I first enrolled there, when I got there, but learned about their tradition. And really, to be honest with you, we're trying to get Rutgers back to where now that's not the only thing that we talk about. And I think that the tradition and the history, but it's a very pivotal time right now for the program to try to get back to legitimacy and to become a destination that New Jersey kids want to go and want to stay home to find a way to bring a championship to New Brunswick.
Shaun, along those lines, what's your reaction to Rutgers reportedly interviewing Greg Schiano about a possible return to Rutgers as a head football coach?
Well, listen, I would be ecstatic if Greg Schiano was named the next head coach. I think there are a lot of really good candidates out there. There are a lot of good college coaches as well as some NFL coaches that I'm sure would love to have the opportunity to coach the Rutgers Scarlet Knights. And while they would be good coaches, to me right now, there's really one guy that I think brings instant credibility back to the program, and that's Greg Schiano. It's somebody that's done it before. Somebody that understands Rutgers, understands the challenges both on campus, off campus. And realistically, when you want to build a program, you've got to get people to support you before you ever win a football game. I think Greg is one of those guys that will have that support, both from the fan base and from the donors.
And Shaun, going back into the NFL and the other night, the Dallas Giants game, I was actually also in the building, and I wanted to just find out what you thought of that game, and what do you think of Daniel Jones and his rookie season so far?
Yeah, well, for the Giants fans, it's a shame that the most exciting play of the night happened to be a stray black cat roaming the end zone. But I think what we're seeing right now for the Giants is just a team that's really struggling to find their identity. Offensively, you have a young rookie quarterback who is learning right before our eyes. He's going through some growing pains. Look, he won his first game down in Tampa and was able to make a couple plays and get a victory. And I think everybody kind of raised up their expectations. But he still looks like a rookie at times. He's had turnovers, fumbles, and interceptions. I don't think the offense around him has really helped him out. And to me, the biggest head scratcher is I don't know why Saquon Barkley is not the focus of this offense. I don't know why he's not getting 25 straight carries. Why are you not pounding the football with him? I see a lot of other offenses that build everything around that run game, and this offense seems to be backwards in that aspect. So it's a frustrating time, and as a former offensive lineman, I always want to run the football, but when you have a guy like that, I think it should be an easy answer. And then defensively for them, they're just a hot mess, to be honest with you.
All right, Shaun, speaking of another team that has an identity crisis, it's the New York Jets. Now, coming into that game against Miami last week, I said on this show that this was a must-win game for this group, and obviously they didn't come through with that, and they give up a game to the winless Miami Dolphins, who are not winless anymore. So for this situation that they're in, and you look at the head coach in Adam Gase, how much real trouble is he in right now with just how dire that football team is in?
Well, it's been interesting. I've gotten to know Adam Gase a little bit over the last few years, and, I think he's a pretty darn good coach. And, there's a lot of good coaches that when things are not going very well, their game plan looks awful. When you've got a young quarterback like Sam Darnold that's turning the football over, a lot like what Daniel Jones is doing, it makes it hard. It makes it hard to call plays. It makes it hard to provide a spark offensively. The Jets have really, I think the interesting thing with them is that every week it just seems like a new saga. Like, they're not just losing football games. They're losing football games with unbelievable drama. Even just you look at the early season with Sam Darnold getting mono. I mean, I can't remember an NFL player ever getting mono in the history of the NFL that I've watched. I don't know that I've ever seen it before. It's something college kids get. So that in itself kind of just added to the firestorm. But I think Adam Gase is basically bearing the brunt of all this. And if you're a player on that team, you know what? They're getting off scot-free. And I don't think that's right, because I think this is a player-driven league. And I can't tell you how many times we had great game plans and we didn't execute them, and the coaches got blamed for it. And that's not their fault. The Jets right now offensively, I talked about the Giants not having an identity. Jets don't have an identity. They have had one of the best running backs in the NFL over the last 5 to 6 years in Le'Veon Bell, and he really hasn't been featured as well. Now, there are other factors offensively for them. Their left tackle's been in and out of the lineup. Their left guard, Kelechi Osemele, was injured and now released. Ryan Khalil has been out, so they've been missing 3/5 of their starting offensive line. That will stunt the growth of any offense. But I think Sam Darnold trying to force things, trying to do too much, has really added to the dysfunction that they've had offensively. And then I think that's just trickled over into the defense. But Adam Gase is a heck of a coach. I think you've got to give any coach time.
Shaun, thanks so much. We look forward to seeing you after Giants games here on our post-game coverage right here on MSG.
All right, thanks. Appreciate it.